So we already know Triple Tactics Talent and Triple Tactics Thrust are some of the most broken staples in the game right now. As long as your opponent activated a monster effect during your turn or your main phase, you can look at their hand, rip a card out of them, send it back to the deck, or with Thrust, you can just search any spell or trap and add it to your hand, which is already extremely broken. But what if you could guarantee that your opponent will activate a monster effect when you go first? So in Age of Overlord, like every core set, we have some imports from the OCG, but we also have some TCG exclusives. And this time we have two new cards that were revealed that really caught my attention. Introducing Jen the Diamond Tiger and Ken the Dragon Warrior. So these two monsters are light level 3 warrior type monsters that allow you to send the other one to your opponent's field and then it activates an effect. And because you send it to your opponent's field, that means your opponent activates the effect, and that actually allows you to trigger off Triple Tactics Talent and Thrust, which is already extremely broken, but let's read their effects. And before all that, make sure to check out my new playmat, the King of Beasts, on Imperium Duelist exclusively. Absolutely amazing artwork done by Midnight Dreams, who did my previous branded playmat. Really quality material, really affordable price, and fast shipping. So if you are interested in that, it will really help support the channel and me personally. And of course, on top of all that, you do get 10% off the playmat and any other thing you want to pick up on Imperium Duelist using code GALZO10 at checkout. So again, if you're interested, link in the description below. You can pick up the playmat and of course support me and the channel. Let's get on to the video. So starting off with Jen the Diamond Tiger, again level 3 light warrior. Once per turn at the end of the battle phase, return this card on the field to the hand. So that's mandatory. At the end of the battle phase, it will bounce back to its owner's hand. You can use each of the following effects of Jen the Diamond Tiger once per turn. During your main phase, you can special summon one Ken the Dragon Warrior from your hand or deck to your opponent's side of the field in defense position. If this card is special summoned by the effect of Ken the Dragon Warrior, discard one card. And on the other side of this, we have Ken the Dragon Warrior. Again, a level 3 light warrior that, again, at the end of the battle phase, returns to the hand. And this card also has an ignition effect during your main phase where you can summon the other guy, Jen the Diamond Tiger, from your hand or deck to your opponent's field. But when this card is special summoned by the effect of Jen the Diamond Tiger, your opponent draws 2 cards, then discards 1 card. So let's put some things in order. Ken the Dragon Warrior allows you to summon Jen the Diamond Tiger to your opponent's field. When you summon Jen to your opponent's field, it will activate the effect, making your opponent discard 1 card. And the other way around is when you summon Jen to your field, you can summon Ken to your opponent's side, and Jen will make you, the owner of the card, draw 2 cards and discard 1 card. So what does this essentially mean for the game? Will this be playable? I'm not really sure, but let's break down what you can actually do with these cards. So I actually mentioned Triple Tactics Talent and Triple Tactics Thrust. Most broken, incredibly powerful staples in the game right now. Triple Tactics Talent just allowing you to get a whole look at your opponent's hand, know exactly what they're playing, but also on top of that, you send a card from their hand back to the deck, so they start with 1 card less. I think, honestly, Triple Tactics Talent is bannable today. I think that card should definitely be forbidden because it essentially says you cannot interrupt me on my turn during the main phase, you cannot hand trap me, you cannot activate Bestials, Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, all that kind of stuff. And if you do, I'm going to look at your hand, know what you're playing, and also send a card back to the deck, which is probably your most powerful card in your hand. But also you can break boards with TTT, taking away one of your opponent's monsters to your field without targeting, or just draw 2 more cards by extending. Triple Tactics Talent is 3 banned cards combined into 1. Well, now Change of Heart is not banned, so that's only 2 banned cards, which is just extremely powerful. And again, those rely on your opponent activating a monster effect during your main phase, which means that with Ken and Jen, you can just special summon the other guy to the field, draw cards if you need them, or discard 1 card from your opponent's hand, and then activate Triple Tactics Talent to send another card from their hand. So essentially they start with 2 cards less and you have perfect knowledge on what they're playing. And if we're talking about Triple Tactics Thrust, it gets a lot more interesting because when Jen and Ken special summon the other guy to your opponent's field, then your opponent controls a monster. And if you don't know what Triple Tactics Thrust does, it will set a spell or trap, a normal spell or trap, from your deck directly to your field, and you cannot activate it this turn. However, if your opponent controls a monster, you can actually add that card to your hand and you can also activate it. So if you're looking for your missing combo piece and you don't really need your normal summon and can just spam out a bunch of monsters, you can summon Jen or Ken, get some advantage from that, and then just activate Thrust to search any card in your deck. All of the powerful starters are mostly normal spell cards. If you need a floodgate like Dimensional Barrier, Eradicate, or Epidemic Virus, you just search that with Thrust because now your opponent controls a monster. So this is the basic concept of these two cards. It's interesting to see if we get more reveals showing some other cards in this so-called archetype, but also if you look at Jen the Diamond Tiger's artwork, you can see an axe that he's holding that is very similar to the Triple Tactics axe that is shown on the artwork of Talents and also held by the General in the artwork of Thrust. I really like the concept of giving more direct support for just random staple cards. It'll be like if you had a card that directly supports Lightning Storm, that when you normal summon it, it sets a few cards from your opponent's hand to their field and then bounces back or flips itself face down so you don't control any face-up cards. And also you can combine this in some other strategies. So on the surface, this doesn't really combine well into any existing archetype, but when you look at some rank 3 strategies, you can find a place where you can fit that in. So for example, if you want to go for a Constellar line, then you can go for a Constellar Xyz that requires 2 level 3 monsters, then go for Ptolemy M7 on top of them, and then bounce the other guy to your hand so your opponent doesn't start off with a monster. And of course you have things like Gold Pride and Kagamucha Knight that are just rank 3 turbos that allow you to play in things like, again, Gold Pride or Phantom Knights that could possibly see some more support in the future, and maybe some rank 3 strategies can benefit from that. I'm sure you can find a lot of broken things to do with this, especially if you combine it with Triple Tactics cards, but on the other side, there are some downsides to these cards. I don't think it's exceptionally good to open 2-card combos that just hand loop your opponent for 2 cards. It's probably not as powerful as just playing your deck. Also, if you have to give up your normal summon, not all decks can actually do that, and you will have to give up your normal summon unless you get a way to special summon them for free. And also, it gives your opponent the monster to start with, so again, link strategies, anything that can benefit off of that can just, play without monster, use it as material. But overall, I think that the design of these cards, besides being cool as generic staple support, I don't like supporting cards that, in my opinion, are just the 2 most powerful cards in the game. I think these cards are already extremely unfair as they are. They don't really need support. But I think as a funny support that probably nobody will play, I think it's interesting. I really hope that we do see some more of these in the future, linking into other staples or other cool artworks that can benefit from that. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about Ken and Jen, the power duo in Age of Overlord? Interesting to see if we get some more interesting reveals of, TCG exclusive cards. I think they're always really interesting and borderline broken when you first read them, but eventually don't see any play. They're also always common, so it's stuff that is lying in your bulk. We probably saw some reveals in earlier sets that we had some cards that were extremely broken when we read them, but didn't end up to be so much. So again, let me know what you think about Ken and Jen in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.